Hello friends, welcome to your own school. I am Ankit Awasthi. India has achieved a feat in the nuclear energy sector that will prove to be a milestone for India in the future. We are talking about nuclear energy, not nuclear bombs. This means that we will be able to use our reactors constructively for civilian purposes, using nuclear fuel to produce energy. We still generate approximately 3% of India's current energy needs from nuclear energy. This means that when generating energy, not bombs, we convert the heat generated through uranium fission into electricity to meet up to 3% of our energy needs. India's goal is to increase this to 12 times in the next 10 years. Today's session is going to play an important role in this. How is energy produced? If we discuss that first, it will be much easier for you to proceed and understand this news in detail. Just understand that when you turn a turbine, where do you get the pressure to turn it? You generate water vapor from heat. This water vapor is forced onto the turbine under pressure, and the turbine spins, generating electricity. But to create this vapor, you burned coal. You either dropped water from a height to create the vapor, or you spun the turbine by dropping it from a height. Or you used nuclear fissionable materials like uranium to generate energy. Using that energy, or heat, you converted water into vapor, and then you turned the turbine to generate electricity. The ultimate goal is to generate electricity from the turbine. But how did you heat the heavy water to generate the pressure to turn the turbine? You heated it with coal, converting it into thermal power. If you did this using nuclear energy, it's called a nuclear reactor. We're talking about uranium because thousands of times more energy can be produced from the less abundant uranium than from coal. Therefore, coal will still emit carbon dioxide and cause global pollution. However, when energy is produced from uranium, it releases more energy and doesn't produce carbon pollution. Therefore, it is considered a clean energy source. So, as we consider this achievement today, what have we accomplished that the world hasn't? Have we developed a nuclear bomb? India already has a nuclear bomb. We've already secured ourselves by testing it in Pokhran. But what we've accomplished today is the milestone of having the most advanced atomic reactor. What have we accomplished? We've accomplished what America hasn't been able to do before. We've accomplished what Western countries haven't been able to do before. India has become the third country in the world to achieve this feat, after Russia and China. Being indigenously self-reliant, through continuous hard work day and night with our own industries and companies in the MSME sector, we have built a reactor that produces uranium on its own. When we realized that uranium energy is essential for reactors like this, we decided not to source uranium from mines, but to use the thorium reserves available in our monazite soil to produce our own uranium and generate electricity from it. By doing this process with self-reliance, we have set a significant world record, and this is a major achievement for India. It is receiving recognition worldwide. Now, let's try to understand this in detail. But beyond that, there's a webinar this Sunday at 5 p.m. If you'd like to join, the link is pinned in the comments section. I'll teach you how to build a website in detail. It's free of cost. We'll learn it through web coding. If you'd like to try it, the link is pinned in the comments section. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and move on. Friends, there's news that India has begun commercial production of a 500 megawatt prototype fast breeder reactor in Kalpakkam, Tamil Nadu, under the umbrella of its Bharatiya Nabikiya Vidyut Nigam Limited, Bhavini. Its construction involved components from over 200 Indian micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, and private companies. It was described as completely indigenous. It was said that the dream behind this construction was that of Homi Jehangir Baba, who had dreamed many years ago that if India were to become self-sufficient in nuclear energy, we would have to stop relying on the world's uranium. Even today, the primary reason for the bombing of Iran was that Iran was beginning to enrich uranium. India possesses only 1 to 2% of its total uranium requirement, meaning only 1 to 2% of the world's uranium. Even if we burn our own uranium and produce electricity from our reactors, we have to import uranium. In such a situation, if we could start producing uranium here, a naturally occurring element. We don't have uranium mines, but if we could replace those mines with the thorium available to us, it would be a major achievement for India. This dream was once dreamt by Homi Jehangir Baba. Now, how is this possible? There are certain nuclear reactions for this, which I will show you later. But before that, understand the significance of this from the fact that when the Prime Minister wrote about this, he said that we have developed an indigenously designed and prototyped element for a fast breeder reactor. Breeder means that it is breeding, creating, producing. Now, such a reactor can automatically produce and provide more fuel than you are providing. That is why it is called a breeder reactor, and we have achieved it. By doing this, we have opened the way for using our thorium reserves for the third stage in the future. Now, to understand what he's saying, you'll have to discuss a little chemistry with us. We'll explain it in simple terms. This is chemistry from before class 10, which we'll discuss with you. But yes, please know that 25% of the world's thorium, the one we're celebrating, is found in India, and that's why it's a big deal for us. Thorium, a radioactive element with atomic number 90, is found in India, and since 25% of the world's thorium is found in India, Homi Jehangir Baba's dream was that if India started using thorium in nuclear reactors, we wouldn't have to depend on uranium. But thorium can't be used directly. That's why it had to be converted into uranium. He suggested a process for this, describing its different stages. Let's now try to understand those stages one by one. Friends, the reactors currently in operation around the world are pressurized heavy water reactors. What happens is that naturally occurring uranium is used as fuel to generate electricity. Producing it as fuel means that the uranium is bombarded, not fired. Electrons, protons, neutrons, and other radioactive substances are bombarded upon it, producing plutonium. To put it simply, consider this a reactor vessel, where neutrons are bombarded onto the uranium to initiate a controlled nuclear reaction. When the neutrons bombard the uranium and the uranium begins to break apart, energy is produced. Heat is generated. That heat is wrapped around water. The heat is then transferred to the water, turning the water into steam. The resulting steam turns a turbine, which in turn turns a generator, producing electricity. But for this to work, it's crucial that the uranium inside the reactor explode in a properly controlled manner. If it goes uncontrolled, it could become a nuclear bomb or cause a major natural disaster. In this entire process, the process of converting water into steam and turning the turbine, which generates electricity, rests entirely on uranium. But what nuclear reaction occurs in uranium? Let's understand it here. Friends, uranium's atomic mass and atomic number are two terms you should understand. Friends, uranium has an atomic number of 92. What is an atomic number? The atomic number is the number of protons in an element. Also, when it's written as 238, it's the atomic mass, and this atomic mass means the number of protons plus neutrons. This is a basic chemistry lesson studied before class 10. If 92 is written here, it means we know the number of protons. That's 92. What's left after this is 238 to 92. This number will be for neutrons. You just have to understand this. So, if you wrote 238, it would contain 146 neutrons. You have to understand this. This uranium with 146 neutrons and 92 protons, if one more neutron is added to it, it turns into uranium-239. This uranium-239 that has been formed will be useful in nuclear reactions. How? It will later undergo beta decay. Now what's this story? Let's understand it simply this way. My dear friends, inside an atom, there are three major particles: electron, proton, and neutron. Proton means the positive part. Neutron means it has no charge. A neutron can be converted into a proton. To convert it, it must undergo beta decay. If beta decay comes out of it, it turns into a proton. Understand that a neutron has equal positive and negative charges, so it's a neutron. A proton has a positive charge. If a beta is removed from a neutron, it transforms into a proton. My dear friends, the poor electron isn't counted anywhere. It's believed that an atom has as many electrons as it has protons, only then is it neutral. Converting a neutron into a proton requires an exercise called beta decay. This sounds simple, but the atomic number of the element changes as soon as it does. For example, if I wrote uranium-238 and added a neutron, the atomic number remained unchanged. The atomic number is essentially the number of protons. If a neutron is asked to eject an electron, consider this uranium number 92. 239 has a neutron. If the beta is removed from here, the number of protons will increase as it ejects. It will become 93. Now, let's omit the name of this element for now. 238 remained above. In fact, a new element has formed, numbered 93 in the periodic table. If I remove one more beta minus from this element, that is, beta decay, the number of neutrons in this 238 written here will decrease. A proton will be produced, and this 93 will change to 94. Again, let's omit this element for now and write it as 237. That means, you've created an element from uranium here. Here too, you've created an element by beta decay. My dear friends, this entire process you're seeing is the first stage reactor scheme within reactors. In this, the first time you beta decay uranium-239, this 93 is actually neptunium. What I was writing as missing here is actually an element called neptunium. For example, uranium is an element. Now, here I removed a beta decay from neptunium. So, what results is plutonium. In other words, if I beta decay this neptunium again, the resulting element is plutonium. Now, this plutonium-formed element is standing before you. Today's discussion is about the fact that the first time you initiate a nuclear reaction, you did this by bombarding it with neutrons. By beta decay, you created protons. Well, by the way, I wrote 239 as 238. It wasn't supposed to be 238. It was supposed to remain 239. What was the reason? Because you increased the number of protons. It became 93, so it will remain 239. Sorry. Similarly, you beta decayed. You increased the protons here, but the atomic number written above, that atomic mass, is actually the combined number of protons and neutrons, so it remained 239. So, this 239 remained the same, but the number of protons in the element increased, and it converted into a new element in the periodic table. Finally, plutonium was formed. India is currently celebrating this plutonium, that we have now learned to go beyond plutonium. Until now, reactors were limited to this level. We used to produce plutonium in fast breeder reactors. But what we have now learned goes beyond plutonium. Using plutonium in fast breeder reactors, we will progress further, and from there, we will be able to produce uranium-233. Now we have to reach uranium-233 because what was the fuel? Uranium-238, which was the fuel that was used to generate energy throughout this process. We reach plutonium in all the reactors in the world. All the world's reactors shut down in the first stage after producing plutonium. We've completed the second stage. What have we accomplished? We've now learned how to use plutonium. I mean, how will we do that? So, if we were to repeat the same process we've been doing with uranium with thorium, we'd repeat it. Thorium is 90,232. If it's bombarded with neutrons, it transforms into thorium-233. We've added an extra neutron to it. We know that if we beta decay it, beta decay won't change anything. But a new element will emerge with atomic number 91, and it will appear as 233. This is the entire process where you introduce a new element. That's Pa. It's called protactinium. That means the first step of creating protactinium from thorium is complete. When you have protactinium, if you use it to beta decay again, you create uranium-233. Because this is 91. All the neutrons present above were originally 142. Those 142 were transferred to 141, and the 91 protons were converted to 92, and 92 protons are the number of uranium. This means that we have learned the art of making uranium from protactinium. In this entire process, plutonium is required to cause the initial neutron shower. So now look here, the initial reaction, as far as the world was concerned, was this. We converted uranium into uranium-239. Then we converted it into neptunium. We converted neptunium into plutonium. But what we've learned now is that, moving forward, we've bombarded thorium with neutrons, transforming it into protactinium, and then into uranium. This process is like a third-stage goal for India, which India has set out to achieve. So, overall, what India has accomplished is teaching us how to produce uranium. That is, we can still produce uranium later. Some of you might say, "Sir, this is uranium-233. This is 238. So, look, uranium has many isotopes. Uranium-233 is an isotope. Uranium-235 is an isotope. Uranium-238 is an isotope." These uranium isotopes, meaning they all have the same number of protons. What has changed is the number of neutrons. The most radioactive of these is the one used in nuclear bombs. Well, for now, both are radioactive, which is why they're being used for power generation. What's the story? The story is that we've hinted at the art of converting thorium into uranium by bombarding it with controlled radiation. In essence, we've learned how to generate electricity by using plutonium inside pressurized heavy water. Here, neutrons will also begin to rain down on the thorium. We're now entering the third stage, where uranium will be produced from thorium alone. For now, we've learned how to generate electricity from plutonium. We're converting plutonium into uranium. Later, using the same process that we use today for plutonium to uranium, we'll move from thorium to uranium. Understand the point. In earlier processes, we converted uranium to plutonium. In later processes, we learned how to convert plutonium to uranium. Now, we will use the same method to convert thorium into uranium. This demonstrates that we have mastered controlled reactions throughout these processes. The reaction, which seems so simple, one neutron inserted would produce one removed would produce another. It is only useful if it is controlled. Otherwise, a nuclear bomb is created. This process is called criticality. We have achieved criticality, which was a very difficult task for many major countries in the world. It was so difficult that the world has already spent $50 billion on it. The US has spent $15 billion, Japan $12 billion, Britain $8 billion, and Germany $6 billion. We have achieved it for less than $1 billion. Although it took us many years to accomplish this task. We began this work in 2004. We have achieved success after 22 years. But India did not give up. There was a major reason behind this. A major reason for India's unwavering commitment was that if we continued to produce uranium-based power, we would once again be dependent on the world. Learning to convert thorium into uranium would be a significant achievement, as we possess 25% of the world's thorium. We have only 1% to 2% of uranium, but we have 25% of thorium. If we learn to use it, we will be self-sufficient in thorium-based power generation globally. India has undertaken this task with patience. These are photos from last year when the prototype was being unveiled. Work was ongoing, and finally, India has achieved this feat. It may take a few more years for this feat to be fully utilized. For now, we have developed a 500 megawatts prototype, a demonstration of how it works. This work was carried out by Bhavini in Kalpakkam, Tamil Nadu, which is under the Department of Atomic Energy. And in the future, the world will have high expectations from this reactor, seeing how India has indigenously developed this technology. With this technology, we will not only supply energy but also become self-reliant because thorium is ours. By doing this, we have made many countries around the world acknowledge the power of Indian technology. You know, when the US attacked Iran today, the reason given was that they were enriching uranium to make bombs. Imagine the work we did in 22 years, developing the art of converting plutonium into uranium, converting thorium into uranium. How dominant will this technology be? Imagine that today, Iran, which is being said to be going back to the Stone Age, was attempting uranium enrichment. We accomplished that long ago. Now, we have achieved what even the US and Britain have been unable to do. The reason for this could be that they have access to uranium. We have learned production from what we have. China and Russia have already done this. This is why India announced to the world that we have completed the second stage of a commercial fast breeder. Breeder means one that produces its own food. By doing so, we will be able to use thorium in the future. India shared this information everywhere, and the IAEA, International Energy Agency, which oversees atomic energy, congratulated India for this achievement and considered it a very impressive progress. The IAEA chairman said, "Yes, this is a great achievement. We hope you all understood this information. If you want to read it in detail, we already uploaded this content on our website, Apni Pathshala, on April 7. You can read it in both English and Hindi." That's all for now. If you like the information, please share it with your friends. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you'd like to join the webinar, the link is pinned in the comments section. Thank you.